What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Firebrand Homestead. I'm Trey, and my beautiful wife Lauren is running the camera today. This is your Tuesday tip of the week. What we're going to be talking about is why and how we prune our tomatoes. Now, we actually have two separate rows of tomatoes in our garden, and they're both set up the same way. We have our Brandywine tomatoes up front, and then we have our Roma tomatoes in the back. Now, there's two main reasons why we want to prune our tomato plants. The number one reason is that we can actually spot pests a whole lot easier. Whenever you have a lot of foliage and a lot of leaves on the plants, it decreases your vision on the stem, and you can't really see the pests that easily. If you have aphids come in during the mid-season, you're not going to be able to see them as easy if you have all this foliage up here. Whereas if you pruned it, you'd see them a whole lot easier. The second reason, we actually just had a limb fall down, and it actually kind of scared both of us there for a minute because I didn't know what was going on. Anyway, the number two reason why we want to prune our tomatoes is to decrease our chances of getting disease. Now, whenever we say we want to cut down on disease, now down here in our soil, there's moisture being held right here. When you have these low-lying limbs like this, and they're reaching down and they're touching the ground, more moisture is held onto these leaves. More moisture means an increased chance of disease. Also, if you don't prune your plants, you have an increased, you have all these different leaves up here. More leaves means more moisture can be held on the plant. More moisture means more chance for disease. So what we want to do is, these are our Brandywines, and now Brandywine tomato is an indeterminate variety of tomato, meaning that it will produce throughout the growing season until frost kills it. That means that pruning is essential to these tomatoes. So what you want to do is, there's two types of things you want to prune. You want to prune your low-lying foliage, and you also want to prune what they call suckers. And now a sucker is right here. A sucker is any foliage that grows out of the V between the main branch and the stem. The reason they call this a sucker is because this little limb, this little bitty leaf and branch, is sucking energy that the plant could be using to put more and more energy into these other branches and make better fruit and bigger fruit and increase our yield. And that's what we want. We want more fruit and we want better fruit. And so what you want to do is, whenever you're pruning, you come down here, the first thing you want to look for is these low-lying limbs, and all you have to do is just come down here, and most of the time you can just pop them off with your hand. I mean, sometimes you'll have to come through here and you can take your knife or something on these bigger limbs and pop them off. But I mean, for the most part, it's just that easy. Just coming through here, popping off these lower ones, and that's all there is to it. And the same thing you do up here with these suckers. You just come in here, pop it off, and boom. That's all you have to do. And now, after you have pruned it, the plant can send more and more energy up here to our blooms, which every bloom, remember, every flower, every bloom turns into a fruit. So now, without these low-lying limbs, you decrease your chance of disease. Without these suckers, you have more energy being produced and pushed up to the flowers, which means better fruit, bigger fruit, and more fruit, which is what you want. Now, back here on our Romas are a determinate plant variety of tomato, which means pruning is not necessary. They are actually a bush variety. Determinate tomatoes are considered bush, which means they just grow and grow and grow. They just get real bushy. There's a certain height that they grow to, and then they're done. They produce all their fruit at once within 1 to 2 weeks, and then after that, they just start going downhill. They start to diminish, and you won't see a lot of fruit there until the plant eventually dies. So with these, you don't necessarily have to prune them, but I would recommend pruning the lower limbs. That way, you, just like with our Brandywines, you decrease your chance of disease with your plant. So with these, I would still definitely prune these lower ones, but as far as the suckers, I wouldn't worry about it, because the more you take off the plant, the more fruit that you're actually taking away from yourself. And the whole key of having a garden is more fruit and better fruit. So that's your Tuesday tip of the week.
Why don't you talk about really quick why we have the string?
Okay, why we stake our tomatoes. Now, the reason why we stake our tomatoes and the reason why we have them up is because these tomatoes are going to grow up, they're going to get big, and then what they're going to do is they're just going to fall over. And so you put these stakes in here, and then you take your string and you just tie the stem onto your stake, and it just holds the plant in place so it doesn't fall over. Now, you could go to Lowe's and you could buy those fancy tomato cages, or you can go out in your backyard where you have a tree, cut out you a tree limb, I don't know, 2 foot long, sharpen up one end of it, stick it in the ground, and you have a 100% free stake for your tomatoes, and you didn't have to go to Lowe's and make a special trip to town. So I would definitely stake your tomatoes, and it's very easy. You just put it in the ground, tie it up, and boom, you're done. But that is going to be your Tuesday tip of the week. We actually have a lot of new growth in our garden. Our pinto beans are looking phenomenal. Our squash are producing just crazy amounts. We actually have blooms on our Roma tomatoes, and we have some on our brandywines. Our Blue Lake.
Actually, see right here. There is
They're
a
very
bloom,
pretty. They're starting to come on in.
which means we're gonna have tomatoes soon.
Yay! Salsa time.
Salsa.
Our watermelons are doing good. Our Blue Lake beans are doing good. Our corn's coming along. Just everything looks great. Looks awesome. But that is your Tuesday tip of the week. Hope you guys have a good rest of your Tuesday and a good rest of your week. Stay tuned for more on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you get notifications whenever we do upload a video. And go check out our Facebook and Instagram page for what's going on more on the homestead. So you guys have an awesome day. We love you, and you guys are awesome.